Okay, so I have a mega headache. Hee hee ha ha, hello, me, and today we are going to beat another Elden Ring boss. I don't know who the next one is, actually, so we'll figure that out. So for whatever reason, OBS didn't record my audio. Obviously, my software for my PNG tuber picked up the sound, but for whatever reason, no audio, so sorry about that. I'll do a voiceover, though, for the entire episode. So I got my intelligence to level 80, and I was contemplating raising my strength too, but I decided against it. I was also able to get Reynala's outfit, and I was complaining about that last episode because none of the helmets are cute, and this also looks a little foolish. So look at me showing off the outfit and how fast I can roll, because I didn't know about heavy load armor and medium and light armor, so there's that. That's exciting. And we're actually beating, I think Radon is his name. Yeah, his name's Radon. So that's who we are beating in this episode. I made a joke about this werewolf over here. It wasn't really that funny, so you didn't miss much. Yep, I'm definitely making fun of the fact that this is a furry. Look at him, his eyes are just following the character. What a weirdo. I spoke to this dude, and he's like, "Are you prepared for the festival?" And I was like, "Yes, sure, whatever." And then a cutscene started to play, so I'm gonna try and give you a play-by-play of how my first reaction was. I was talking about the color grading here and how it's like, oh, super red, and how the aesthetics in this game are usually gritty and gross, but it's nice to see a pop of color somewhere, but of course it is red. And then I was talking about how this armor looked cool, and if only we could have armors that were, like, good and not too heavy. But it makes sense because it's made of metal. He's too fat for his horse. How sad.
His wits are long gone.
I started to feel a little bit bad for him until he started to just eat his friends. Like, what a nasty, nasty cannibal. You know, you can't sit through this game for 2 seconds without it becoming nasty, so I should have really known. And I wasn't expecting my controller to vibrate during that roar. He was like, whoa. So after talking to this guy one more time, I run in the opposite direction of where I'm supposed to go, like a complete boba. I thought that the yellow mist was like the boss room, because usually that's the case, but I forgot that's where I came in through, so it was blocking my exit, so durr. Then I went over to go yell at the dog for not telling me what direction was right and which one was wrong. Like, he really let me walk in the wrong direction and didn't say anything. How disrespectful. I picked up a smithing stone, which I really needed, and then I went over to see this message, and as per usual, they were being disgusting, making nasty jokes. I made my way into the boss arena and immediately started with my first blind attempt. I had trouble figuring out how to dodge these at first, those little comet things, but I eventually figured it out. My first reaction to seeing this move was just to run away. You know, a good rule of thumb in Elden Ring is just to run as fast as you possibly can. And I started off using my meteorite staff to just throw rocks at him. I was contemplating switching between the full moon spell, like the Sailor Moon spell, and like Comet Azure. I ended up switching to the Comet Azure after I died here. My second attempt was a little worse than my first attempt. I still didn't know how the summonings worked, so I just thought I had to press Y in order to do it, so I immediately got my mount murdered. And I failed at dodging all of these. At this point, I was just like, kill me already, fine. Like, sure. And I adopted the strategy to count when I would dodge so that I wouldn't dodge too early. I didn't really do a good job dodging that one, though. And I thought it was funny because there's a dude that just looks like a little bolita. The way that he looks in his armor, just running at him. My third attempt wasn't much better, but it was here that I figured out that I could hide behind the weapons in order to dodge things, and that I was able to do it. And I saw the little bolita dude again, something about dung eater, whatever. Look at him, he looks like a little bolita running in. Looks so funny. It's attempt number 4, you whores, and I still haven't figured out the counting methods to dodge those yet, but I did learn about the weapons being able to completely negate the damage. I thought that it would just go through, and I was incorrect. But unfortunately, I lost to the stupid flying arrow, swallowing arrow thing. Yep. I ate it to that. Foolish. It's attempt number 5, you guys. Okay, I'll stop with that. It's stupid. I was actually able to get kind of close to him this time. And I used my Comet Azure, but he obviously dodged it because it's for bigger enemies. And I didn't know that at the time. I was like, why isn't he taking magic damage? Because I wasn't aiming properly. See, it just doesn't work. Even though I was aiming at him. So that was just a waste of a spell. The waste of the manas. But I figured it out for next time, just to use my good old meteors. I did try a couple times though. See, this is when it starts to do damage, and it does damage pretty quickly, as long as the enemy stays in the general space. You see, he just moved out of the way of it, which is kind of disrespectful. I went back to my good old-fashioned rocks. They never do me dirty unless I'm too far away, like that. Look at him running after. It's so silly looking. That Thundershock attack was super annoying. So it's at this point where I literally thought that he poofed out of nowhere. I could not find him for the life of me. I didn't know where he was. And then I was like, oh, that's definitely not good. And then he kills me like that, because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't even know where he was. He just kind of poofed out of nowhere. This is actually my final attempt. You see here, I'm actually using what you're supposed to use to dodge. And I do the count right. 1, 2, 3, dodge! Yay! Finally figured out how to properly dodge those in this area. And I knew my strategy was to get as close to him as possible right away after summoning all the things, so that they would just be fodder and a distraction for me to then slay, as I should. Me being the silly goose that I am, I attempted to use the Comet Azure just one more time before I finally just switched back to the rocks, because the rocks will never do me dirty like that. It didn't even hit him at all. All of that damage that's been done on him have just been the NPCs so far, so that is so ridiculous. Yep, back to the rocks. This attack was actually super annoying. Like, I don't even know how I would be able to dodge that. But I immediately start to run in and just do hits with my sword just to see if that would just do anything. It did a little bit of damage. And it was easier in retrospect just to circle him and just beat him up with the sword. But, you know, silly goose. He just looks so goofy just running at you like that. It's just, I can't. See, how are you supposed to dodge that? And then he does this weird gravity thing where he just pulls me to him. And I just started to do my strat of just like, okay, try to get behind him and smack him. Beat him up. Beat him up, beat him up, beat him up. Beat him up, beat him up. But then I got smacked real hard and decided to go back to the rocks. During what I guess is his second phase, I was able to summon, well, I didn't really summon, they just kind of summoned themselves. Other distractions so that I could just see what he was doing and throw rocks at him from afar. See, the rocks will never fail ya. I was scared of getting too close because I didn't know what those boulders would do. See, they came after me eventually, but they were not that bad to dodge. That, however, I hate that shockwave thing. So fucking annoying. And he starts to run after me. He runs so goofy. I think I only have like a couple of hits on him left. I don't even know what the fuck that was. That was like, that's what I'm like, eso se llama xenophobia. Like, because that is racist. And he immediately died for his crimes. That's what happens when you're Latinophobic. I got his Great Rune and his Remembrance so I could get one of his ugly ass weapons. And I was welcomed to another cutscene. This cutscene was super duper pretty. The fact that I'm dressed in Reinala's clothes and it's just like shooting stars and it's like, ah, so pretty. See, that's the thumbnail right there. Super duper cute. And now starts the actual hell of trying to find a way to get the fuck out of here. You see, it took me about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes to defeat a boss. And it took me a whole 30 to 40 minutes to figure out how the hell to get out of the boss area. I had to use Google, and the only thing that popped up was a stupid fucking Reddit thing. I looked up, how the fuck do you get out of the boss area for Radon? And the internet was less than helpful. There were two different answers, and both of them were contradicting each other. It's like, there's a grace on the side of the peninsula. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean the peninsula? And the other one's like, oh, it's like by the left of where it was. So I did leftaroo to try and find it. I ran around all the stupid hellscape area, and it took me forever to find that stupid ass grace. Forever! It would have been easier to find if they had just put it near a wall. Because you just would have just been able to run across the wall. And here I'm talking about how big the moon is, and I was like, is the moon getting closer? And then I was like, no, it's not, I'm just being silly. But I run over to this shipwreck and waste all that time. I'm not going to sit through that 30 minutes of torture, so I'm just going to skip over to when we find the second boss of the episode, because you know how we do it over here. 2 bosses an episode. So as it turns out, there is a boss behind the Castle Morn that I just never bothered to look for or deal with. I didn't know how to navigate that area. So we beat another Beastman. This guy actually wasn't too bad. I was like, I think it would be so easy to just pummel him with the rocks. So when I realized that the rocks will really take him out in like 2 seconds, I decided to do the sword, because I knew it would take slightly longer and I didn't want it to be too easy for myself. I think that over-leveling yourself makes these little bosses seem much more like doable, because I know that when last episode, if I had tried to do this, it would have scared the shit out of me. But then all of a sudden I was like, I need to max my magic, so I farmed it for hours. See, that is a huge hit. So I decided to just go in with the sword instead to make it more interesting for myself. But even then, it was not that much of a fight. So there's the second and last boss of the episode. It didn't really take that long. I got a grafted blade sword, and I remember commenting about how the word grafted makes me think of that ugly ass guy from the first episode. Was it Godric the Grafted, or was it the second episode? I don't know. It just gross. I know what grafted actually means, but like, when you think about it in like flesh terms, it just ruins it for me. Alright, that's about all the time that we have for today's episode. We were able to beat Radon as well as another boss, and when we were beating Radon, it took me way too long to know how to leave the actual boss room. It took me longer to figure out how to leave than it did for me to actually beat him, which was not super cool. Sorry about the audio. Don't know why that happened. I guess my microphone wasn't connected properly when I was recording, so that's kind of weird. But if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and I'll see you later. Vibes! How the gentle wind beckons through the leaves as autumn colors fall, dancing in a swirl of golden memories, the loveliest lies of all. I think that's how it goes. Autumnal vibes, woo woo. 'Tis the season.